So we are going to start with the new chapter, carbon and its compound. We have already discussed about that, the portion which has been deleted, and now this is the portion which we need to study from the chapter. So let me tell you, the compound carbon has immense use in our daily life. If you get up early in the morning, once you get up early in the morning, you do the brushing of your teeth, there the carbon is. You eat the food, there the carbon is. You choose to come on the for the online classroom, you use the laptops. The body of the laptop is made up of carbon. So carbon has immense use in our daily life. Carbon is such a large compound, carbon forms such a large number of compounds that one whole branch of chemistry has been dedicated just to study carbon and its compound. Carbon forms such a versatile element that you can find its use is immense in our day. The soaps, the drugs, the detergents, the antibiotics, the fuel, the vegetables, the eatables, the toys, the dyes which we wear, the clothes which we wear, all all contain carbon. The plastic, the paper, the rubber, leather, everything is made up of carbon. So you can see that if we come across that how many elements so far are known to us. As per the modern periodic table, you can see in the modern periodic table, we are having 118 elements have been arranged in the modern periodic table. Right? How many? 118 elements are arranged in the modern periodic table. You know, carbon forms such a large number of compounds. Carbon is only one of the 118 elements. But it forms such a large number of compounds that one whole branch of chemistry has been dedicated just to study carbon and its compound. And that branch of chemistry where carbon and its compounds are studied, that branch of chemistry is known as organic chemistry. Whereas that branch of chemistry where rest of the compounds and the where rest of the elements and compounds formed by them is known as or studied is known as inorganic chemistry. Under organic chemistry, we study just the carbon and the compounds which are being formed by the carbon. Why? Because we find its immense use. It forms thousands of compounds. It forms thousands of compounds. Now let's start about the carbon. That I have already told you that carbon is found in there is not even a single place which is free of carbon. Carbon is present in the atmosphere. Carbon is present in the Earth's crust. Somewhere it is present in the combined form, in the compound form, and sometimes it is found in the free state also. In the free state, you can find that carbon is present in the form of diamond. Carbon is found in the form of graphite. Then C60, which is also known as Buckminster fluorines. In the compound, you can form that it forms the compound with oxygen to form carbonate. It forms the compounds with hydrogen. It forms the compound with the nitrogen and so on. So we can see that it has immense use in life by forming large number of compounds, right? So now, if we want to discuss about the chemical nature of carbon, we have to first of all understand that Carbon is the sixth member of the periodic table. If we start with the periodic table, hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, and then carbon. The sixth place in the periodic table is occupied by carbon. For example, let me show you. This is the periodic table. What you can see on your screen, this is the periodic table: hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, and carbon. This is the place of the carbon in the periodic table. The symbol which is used to represent the carbon is C. Carbon is represented by the symbol C and its atomic number. Atomic number is the number of electrons present in the carbon, that is 6, right? Now, if we want to just discuss about the electronic configuration of carbon, distribution of electrons in the carbon, the electronic configuration or the electronic distribution of carbon is, in the first shell there will be 2 electrons, and in the last shell there will be the 4 electrons, right? As in the 9th class, we have already learned about how the electronic distribution, how the distribution of electrons which are present in the shells around the nucleus, how they needed to be distributed as per the shell, right? So in the first shell has the capacity 2. So first shell, there are 2 electron, and in the next shell, which has the capacity to hold 8 electron, but as we are left with only 4 electron, so there is the 4 electron present in the last shell. I've always told you that the atoms always want to stable. Atom can be stable by 2 ways, either gaining and losing of electron, and one is sharing of electron. Now let me tell you, those elements who are having 1, 2 or 3 electrons in their last shell, they will tend to donate the electron and will become stable by donating their electron. And those atoms who are having 5, 6, 7 electrons in their last shell, what they will tend to do, they will tend to accept the electrons or gain the electron which has been donated to them. They will tend to gain the electron, and on gaining the electron they will attain the stability. Those who are having 1, 2, 3, they will donate, and those who are having 5, 6, 7, they will accept the electron. Now what about that who is having 4 electron in its last shell? Those who are having 4 electron in its last shell, how they will try to achieve the stability? How they will try to be stable? They will try to be stable, they will tend to be stable by sharing of, they will tend to be stable by sharing of electrons. And the chemical bond which is being formed by the 2 mutual atoms, where the sharing of electron has to take place, that bond we call as covalent bond, and the compound formed will be known as covalent compound. Now the question is that why an atom which is having 4 electron in its last shell cannot donate? As we have already discussed in the class 9th, that on donating, once the atom donates their electron, at that time they have to lose some amount of energy also, right? When the atom will tend to donate 4 electron, at that time they will lose a large amount of energy. They will lose that much of energy, so that the atom will become, instead of become stable, it will destable. it will become destable. Atom will lose its stability. So those who are having the 4 electron in its last shell, they will tend to achieve this stability by sharing of electron. I hope that I must be clear here. Now, okay. So we will now discuss about that covalent bond, which is being formed between the two atoms by the sharing of electron. As we have already discussed in the chapter metal and non-metal, when metals react with non-metal, metal will tend to donate the electron and non-metal will tend to accept the electron. Right? So what will happen? They will also form a bond, and that bond is called as ionic bond. So the bond which is being formed by the complete transfer of electron, we call it as ionic bond or electrovalent. And now there is one more type of bond, as I've told you, that who will have 1, 2, 3, they will donate. 5, 6, 7, they will accept, and they will tend to form the bond that is known as ionic bond or electrovalent bond. But what about those who are having 4 electron in its last shell? What they will tend to do? They will tend to either they will tend to share the electron, and the bond which is being formed by the sharing of electrons, we call it as covalent. It is not only that carbon only tend to share the electron, right? We can see the non-metallic bonds often tend to share the electron among themselves, so as to be necessary that all those elements which is having only 4 electron in its last shell will tend to share them. Some of the non-metals, even which do not have this, they will tend to share the electron to be stable. One by one, we will be discussing about that. There are different types of covalent bonds. One by one, we will be discussing about that. For example, what's the atomic number of hydrogen? It is 1. What's the atomic number of chlorine? It's 7. Electronic configuration 1. Actually, my board is small, so let me write here. Chlorine is 7, so it will be 2. Sorry, chlorine is not 7, chlorine is 17. It will be 2, 8, 7 electrons in its last. Now, once hydrogen and chlorine reacts with each other, what they will tend to do? Because if hydrogen will lose its 1 electron, it will lose its identity also. And hydrogen does not have the ability that it can accept the electron. Then how they will tend to do? They will tend to share the electron. Because chlorine is just short of 1 electron to achieve the stability. Now, how an atom can attain the stability, that we have already discussed in the 9th class, that either the atom should have 2 or 8 electron in its last shell so as to be stable. That is, they have every element try to achieve this octet by having 8 electron in its last shell so as to be stable. And those who are the smaller, whose first shell become the last one, that's K shell, they will tend to attain the stability by having 2 electrons. All right. So here what will happen? If we are going to represent the electron dot, in the electron dot, we are not going to show those shells which are complete. Like its K shell is complete, its L shell is complete, its M shell is only incomplete. Then we won't be showing the K shell, we won't be showing the L shell. We will be distributing, we will be depicting only those electrons which are present in the valency shell, which are present in the last shell. So how many electrons are there in the last shell? 7 electrons are there in the last. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here the chlorine has not given the 1 electron. It has only share 1 electron, and the share pair will be counted towards both. Chlorine has now 8 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it has attained the stability, and hydrogen has 2 electrons now, because the shear pair will be counted towards both the atoms and they have become stable. So this type of bond which is being formed by the shearing, this is known as covalent bond, right? Which is being formed by the shearing of electron, that's called as covalent bond. So it's not necessary always that those who are having only 4 electron in its last shell. Those who are having in 4 electron in its last shell, they don't have any other way to be stable. They have always only one way to be stable, and that is by the shearing. So covalent bonds are of many types, where only one pair of electron is shared. That type of bonding is called as covalent bond. But here only one pair of electron is shared, so it will be called as single covalent bond. Here only one pair of electron is shared, so it will be called as single covalent. If the two pair of electron is shared, then what it will be called? Yes, it will be called as double covalent bond, right? For example, if I talk about oxygen, the atomic number of oxygen is 8. So its electronic configuration is 2 and 6. So in the dot structure, I will represent only the last, or I will represent only the valence electron, that is those electrons which are present in the valency shell. Oxygen has 6 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. What it will tend to do? It will tend to share the 2 electron with one more oxygen atom, so that both the atom of oxygen will become stable, because the shear pair will be counted towards both the atoms, right? Shear pair will be counted towards both the atoms, and in this way they will form the covalent bond and will try to achieve the stability. But they have not shared the single covalent bond, they have not shared the one pair of covalent bond. Here they have shared the 2 pair of covalent bond, so it will be called as double covalent bond, right? The shear pair will be counted towards both, and we will here find out that how is it really that they have achieved the octet. Yes, let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because shear pair will be counted towards both, and this has achieved 8 electrons, so it has become stable. Atom has also achieved 8 electron in its last shell, and it has become stable, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So where the 2 pair of electron is shared, that's called as double covalent bond. And let me tell you, if the atoms share 3 pair of electron, then that will be called as triple covalent bond. For example, what we can see in the nitrogen. Nitrogen has atomic number 7. The atomic number of nitrogen is 7. So its electronic configuration is 2 and 5. That is, in the K shell it will have 2 electron, and in the L shell it will have 5 electron. Right? Now I will, in the dot structure, I am not going to show those shells which are complete. In the dot structure, while drawing the dot structure, I will show only those which are the incomplete one, and that means I have to show 5 electron. Let's discuss about it. And having 5 electron, 5 valence electron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more nitrogen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the shear pair will be counted towards both. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This has become stable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This has become stable. So such kind of bond we call as triple covalent bond. So we are having 3 types of covalent bonds. 1, is called as single covalent bond, one we call as double covalent bond, and one we call as triple covalent bond, where three pair of electrons are shared between the two. Three pair of electrons are shared between the two. So there are three types of covalent bonds: single bond, double bond, and triple bond. There are certain, like we have already discussed about the properties of ionic compounds. Now we will be discussing about the properties of covalent bonds, covalent compound. The compound which is being formed by sharing of electron is called as covalent compound, and covalent compounds are made up of molecules and not ions.
उसके पीछे तुम्हारे नहीं शायद से सॉफ्टवेयर है।
Yes. Then next property is that covalent compounds are generally liquid or gases due to weak force of attraction. As compared to ionic bond, covalent bond are weak. Covalent force, ionic bond was the bond which is being formed by the complete transfer of electron. They also develop the force of attraction. For example, the bond between the metal and non-metal, the bond between the metal and non-metal, that's called as ionic bond. Let me
Science.
tell you, the force of attraction.
हाँ SSU science
Who is this? Okay, I was
I'm from-
discussing about that electrovalent bond. Electrovalent or ionic bonds are generally stronger. They are having stronger force of attraction. So generally they will found in the solid form. But here in the covalent compounds, the forces between the two is weak. There is a weak force of attraction between the molecule. So they are generally found in liquid or gases, but exceptions are there, like glucose. Glucose is a covalent bond. Glucose is a compound which is being formed by the sharing of electron, but it is in the solid. Covalent compounds are generally insoluble in water. They are not solvable in water. They are generally soluble in organic solvents. But exception, glucose. Glucose is a covalent compound which is soluble in water. Then covalent compounds having weak force of attraction between the atoms, so its melting and boiling point will also be low. Because why the melting and boiling point is low? Because the force of attraction between the atoms is weak as compared to if we talk about ionic compound. If we talk about ionic compound, as we have already discussed about that, covalent bonds are the bonds which are being formed by the sharing of electron. The share pair of electron will be counted towards both the atoms which are sharing the electron. There can be the single bond, there can be the double bond, and there can be the triple bond. If it shares one pair of electron, then the bond formed will be single bond. If it share two pair of electron, then it will be called as double bond. And if it shares the three pair of electron, then it will be known as triple bond. Right? So we have already discussed about the properties of ionic compounds also, that they are weak due to their molecular force of attraction between the atoms is weak. They are having generally low melting and boiling point. They are not soluble in water, but exceptions are there, like glucose. Right? We have discussed about the properties also.